How do you know if you have a wrongful death claim in Florida? It's the policy of the state of Florida to shift the loss of a wrongful death from the survivors of the deceased to the wrongdoer. And what does that mean for you in your particular case? Well, if you have a loved one who has died, there are 4 factors that determine whether or not you have a viable wrongful death claim. The first factor is negligence. The second factor is death. The third factor is causation. And the fourth is standing to sue. And we're going to talk about each one of those in order. The first factor is negligence. The first thing you have to do is you have to prove that your loved one was killed by the carelessness of someone else. Negligence is defined as the failure to use reasonable care. And the way that we, as the wrongful death attorneys, prove carelessness in a wrongful death case is we look at rules, societal rules, federal motor carrier safety regulation rules, statutory rules, procedures and protocols of businesses. We look for the standard of care in medical malpractice cases. We look for the standard of care for running a construction site. We look for rules that have been violated, and we also look for evidence that the wrong actor knew the rules and knew that the rules were in place for a reason, for the safety and protection of other people, and they violated those rules anyway. That's number 1, negligence. The second factor in determining whether or not you have a case is proving the death of the deceased, which is usually not a problem. You can do that with a death certificate. You can do that with witness testimony. The third factor, though, is often much more of a challenge, and that is proving that the death of the deceased, the death of your loved one, was caused by the negligence. This is the causation issue. It was caused by the negligence of the bad actor. It's surprising to me as a wrongful death lawyer how many times the defendants in wrongful death cases will try to prove that it wasn't their negligence that caused my client's death or my client's loved one's death, despite the fact that it's blatantly obvious. I had a case one time where a client was hit by a bus and he died, and the defense was, no, he didn't get hit by a bus. He was already old and he was going to die anyway. Well, that's the kind of defenses that these wrongful death cases, these wrongful death attorneys defense attorneys will sometimes come up with. So it's the plaintiff that's the wrongful death lawyer that is representing the survivors has the burden of proving that the death was caused by the negligence of the bad actor. Okay, so those are the 3 factors. The last factor is standing to sue. You have a wrongful death case. You may have a wrongful death case if you are either the spouse, the child, the parent, or a relative who is dependent upon the deceased. Okay, spouse, child, parent, or relative who's dependent on the deceased. And in addition to that, the estate also may have a claim. Now, the estate always has standing to sue. So there is somebody that has a standing to sue. That would be the executor of the estate. But it's very important to understand that the type of damages that the estate can sue for are limited to economic losses, such as the funeral expenses, medical expenses, and loss of net accumulations of the deceased. Lost net accumulations meaning the amount of money the deceased would have earned throughout their lifetime minus the amount that they would have spent. So, but in a wrongful death case, in order to have a viable claim, you have to meet all 4 of those factors. If one of those factors fails, either the negligence, the death, the causation, or the standing to sue, then you do not have a viable wrongful death case. Now, there are so many other considerations when dealing with a wrongful death case that it's extremely important to talk to a skilled and experienced wrongful death attorney. So if you have any questions about whether or not you have a claim, you're more than welcome to call me. My name's Jimmy Fasig. I am an experienced wrongful death attorney. My number is 850 850-777-7777. That's 850-777-7777. I'm happy to talk to you about your wrongful death case, potential wrongful death case. Thank you so much.